hell is that thing?
The Suffering, Midway's take on survival horror, a very underrated series that began in 2004 and ended in 2005. Now, I already played the first game on this channel, so I thought, why not tie it all together with the ties that bind? This time featuring the prolific voice of Michael Clark Duncan.
Oh, did I get under your skin?
Warning, if you care, there are spoilers. So if you don't know how the last game ended, here's a quick recap. After escaping the island of Carnate, Torque learned that it was himself that accidentally deleted his own wife, followed by his son Corey drowning his brother Malcolm in the tub, and shortly after, taking too much self-inflicted fall damage. Now, what truly caused all of this to happen? Well, that's what we're gonna find out. By starting at square one, 5 years ago at the Eastern Baltimore Correctional Facility.
Yo, Torque, where your head at? I'm talking to you.
Where my friend Miles says, we don't deserve to be here, man. If it wasn't for that cunning Blackmore setting us up. Blackmore is the boogeyman around these parts.
Blackmore owns Eastern now.
Especially to me because he threatens my children's lives and taunts me about my ex-wife Carmen.
Weren't enough of a player for her.
Miles stands up for me, which results in a swift beating. Now with knives out and our backs against the walls, a prison riot breaks out and we're saved for now. Only until we walk back inside because it appears the supernatural has taken over the prison. And they separate us rather quickly. So now I'm a Lone Ranger, and I've got two new bad guys to look out for. Copperfield, the slave hunter, I don't know his deal exactly, and the Creeper, a pimp turned serial killer. They appear periodically throughout the game, just like taunting me. Anyways, after receiving a mean phone call from Blackmore,
I've got your wife on a leash.
I'm faced with my first moral challenge. Kill the officer for Blackmore's gang, or save his life. The Slayer got him anyway. Remember the Slayer from the first game? And like the first game as well, karma has an impact on the game's ending, but more importantly on your beast form. If you're good, you look more human with a blue glow. If you're bad, you look very satanic with a red glow. The contrast of colors is symbolic. And with that being said, Torque blacks out, and we return to the present. Like Santa if he made an incorrect delivery. Fresh off the first game's ending, we're on a boat fleeing the island of Carnate when the ghost of my ex-wife says,
You got off that island, but you can never really go home.
Then a helicopter comes in hot saying, I'm a helicopter, pull over. And with nothing to really fight for, we give ourselves up. After passing out again, we're strapped up Hannibal Lecter style and rolled into a heavily guarded facility where we meet Jordan.
Welcome back to reality.
The leader of the Foundation, an independent military and scientific organization dedicated to fighting against and studying paranormal creatures. In other words, this lady created the malefactors, or monsters, and loves just how connected I am to them. We have ties that bind. But then shit starts shaking, the lights go out, the monsters go free, and so do I. What I've gathered is that I'm basically a monster magnet. Wherever I go, they go.
T, you have to...
And I go to my old neighborhood, home of my home, in search of very important answers.
This is the place. It's in your closet.
This letter from Miles might explain something. Blackmore's gotta go. He's running the streets, pushing drugs in the cell blocks. Now he's ruining your relationship, framing us for crime. What'd you do to him, man? It appears Blackmore used my son Corey to carry out evil tasks.
His boy Corey is our ace in the hole. Already hates his dad.
Which is quickly confirmed by Dr. Killjoy on this TV here.
A fiend of many names, Blackmore.
Jesus, what did he do to her?
You weren't a good father. Not in jail.
Then Killjoy tells me to go to the Grand Theater so he can show me something.
Come to the Grand Theater.
But the path won't be easy. There's absolute chaos in these streets. Hey look, we made it to the Grand Theater. It's a nice presentation where he's like, behold, your son Corey. He could have been looking at a lifetime of neglect if it wasn't for the fact that he's dead.
Very dead.
What could you have done to cause this? Blackmore caused this, not me. Stop blaming me. Then Blackmore shows up and says,
Your boy knew how to play the game. Let's see how well you do.
What game is he talking about? The drugs or the monsters? Either way, I gotta fight.
It's good to see the inner you. Welcome back, and I look forward to playing the game with you.
Okay, good. Let's keep moving.
Cook it. Pull it out and shoot it up. Yeah.
As we go on forward, searching for more answers, I run into a junkie who keeps on referring to me as his dad.
No way. Pops? What are you doing here?
No, I could kill him where he stands, but I'd rather play the good guy and get him where he needs to go. The crack house, which isn't that good either. On the way there, we passed the gazebo where Torque first met his wife Carmen.
What did you say your name was?
Most call me Torque.
We have some flashbacks that tell a story of inner conflict. Carmen wants Torque to be a man and a father, whilst Blackmore wants Torque to ditch the girl and keep the game moving.
You were born to play the game.
It'd be funny if they were just playing Monopoly at his house or something. Back to reality. Oh, there goes gravity. We safely deliver the junkie to his destination, and he quickly delivers heroin into his system. Also, the mainliner spawns from drug use this time, as opposed to lethal injection from the first game. Where to next? Well, according to Killjoy a few moments ago, I should go down to my friend Miles' bar, where we get a flashback of when him and I got arrested. Blackmore's goon came up to me and said, "I sold your son Corey crack. Also, your wife's a whore." And Torque kills him instantly, resulting in us both being taken to prison, all while Blackmore taunts us from the shadows. He set us up. That's not fair.
And what's the little lady going to say now?
Back to the real world, and to my surprise, Miles is right outside, wearing the same exact outfit from the flashback.
Come on, I know where we can go.
He's gonna help me get back to the facility that we started the game in. Only there can we interrogate the Foundation leader, Jordan, on Blackmore's whereabouts.
Y'all float down here.
My man, you made it.
And to make a long story short, Miles and I make it to our final stop.
Now come on.
When he's shot by the slave hunter. I don't fully understand him, but he has gross looking dogs. So I go around the corner and arrive at the Foundation warehouse, where I rescue a woman who says she's the wife of Ernesto, an Abbott Penitentiary correctional officer who I actually fought with in the first game. He was a nice guy. Now her and I are gearing up for a fight, because due to me being the main subject, the Foundation soldiers locked us in the Malfactor storage room. Blackmore's up there too. That scumbag's working with him.
You're just back at the start of our little game.
Release the specimens, they say, and we get down and dirty.
No.
After escaping the warehouse, we reach the seaside docks, and like exploring the Smucker's factory, we run into another jam. We're completely surrounded, closed in with no escape, until Jordan heroically busts in on a warthog.
Hope you don't mind me driving.
Now, as you can see, this game is a lot more action than horror, which is probably why it flopped, but I'll accept it. So Jordan explains to me how our men betrayed her under Blackmore's command, and how he's been funding the Foundation for years. So she's taking me to where he runs his game, back at Eastern Baltimore Correctional, where it all started. But as you can see, the path here is not looking too easy. Not to mention the giant sewer worm that is very reminiscent of Princess from Timesplitter's Future Perfect. We crash land directly into the lower level of Eastern Baltimore Correctional, or prison for short. We meet an injured member of Blackmore's gang. He says, "The things you did in here, man, you sure made your mark. But why would you hire someone to..." And boom, he dies quickly. What did I do in here exactly? So we mosey our way up to the main lobby, where Blackmore taunts me from above. He burned the staircase, so my only way up is to readmit myself. Symbolism.
Hey!
This new path leads us up to the warden, Elroy, who's very scared, but needs me to have his back in an attempt to stop the evil malfactors.
I'm gonna need backup to get him under control.
He wants to form an alliance between the guards and prisoners, but during the fight he died prematurely, so none of that happened. As you can see by this slow motion replay, he was quite reckless in his tactics. Although I was saddened by this, I had to journey on forward, where to my delight, I found my friend Miles in one of the cell blocks. Unfortunately, he's not so friendly anymore.
What the f is up with you, my man?
He's confused and angry, saying, "For years I've been trying to get the straight word on Blackmore, but I got nothing. And now the dying guy from the entrance told me some things about you I can't even believe."
That cracker bleeding out in the basement, he told me what's what.
And before I can even respond, I black out. And when I awake, Miles is merely a bloody splatter. Blackmore is also here now. He probably did it while my eyes were closed. And he tells me to meet him down at the drowning pool. Only then can I learn the truth.
I'll tell you all the truth you'll ever need to hear.
So I set off to do exactly that, when I'm ambushed by Foundation soldiers, and Jordan in a helicopter. She says, "You fool, you think my men would actually betray me like that? I was lying to you, you Now feel my wrath." Then I say, "You may have an army and a helicopter, but I use the unlock every weapons cheat and also am playing on easy." Leading us to the calmest standoff ever.
You're losing your touch.
Good riddance, lady. Next stop, the drowning pool. The entrance to the drowning pool was guarded by the worm and then the floating slave hunter, so there's that.
It's time to listen to your reviews, Torque.
This is where the game goes recap mode on us, with Killjoy, the Slaver, and the Creeper reviewing my moral decisions throughout the game.
I thank you for getting me this far.
How could you resist that sweet meat?
And because I was a good boy the entire time, I have to defeat the Slaver, Copperfield. Not too hard to accomplish. I just kind of shoot him and he falls over and spawns somewhere else. And he gets eaten by his dogs. Then in the following scene, Blackmore is showing my son Corey the pool he would drown his victims in for not cooperating.
They choke on the filth and waste in there, and they learn.
He then throws Corey in it, so I run in to save him like the good father I am, which then teleports me all the way back to where I grew up, the Garvey Children's Home, where the ultimate truth will be revealed.
You tried your best to grow up here, learn the game.
Inside the home, Blackmore gives us a little interactive tour, and in a childhood flashback, I recall meeting Blackmore as his adult self. "You gotta learn the game, kid," he says to me.
I've got years to teach you.
Who are you talking to?
But it appears he was just an imaginary friend.
These are the ties that bind us.
He said it. We're then shown how my son first became corrupted by the game.
You remember how that played out?
Blackmore's gang member gave him crack, and he was all about it. They drugged him up so much he could have killed half the city.
Wasn't for me, he'd still be alive today.
This Blackmore is a real piece of work. What else am I missing? Well, here comes the big reveal.
We've been through so much together. Do you remember?
Why does it appear Blackmore never existed?
Because I am you.
He's my alternate blackout state, and now he wants to be in control forever. Things get real mystical as he drops the top, and we begin the final fight for Torque's moral goodness. Blackmore has advanced magic, and is resistant to regular attacks, so I use my beast form to slap him around. Up until he's had enough, and admits defeat on the rooftop. And with a simple touch, my alter ego disappears forever.
You played right. I couldn't get you to break the rules. And the way I play, it's all or nothing.
And even though it was all my fault, and I was on Satan levels of evil, I'm saved now. The end. So ultimately, with this game being canon, Torque was always just horrible. I want to give some closing thoughts just off the top of my head. As opposed to the original game, it doesn't have the same horror elements that it had. Kind of like how Silent Hill was, where you're cautious at every turn. Everywhere you go is pretty much terrifying. This one's more of action that you could just run through and just gun everything down. And you were fighting against soldiers most of the time as opposed to the creatures, which they used most of the original ones, and then added some new ones, with a twist that instead of prison execution and those themes for the monsters, it was more of like street crime. The Slayer represented machete warfare as opposed to dismemberment. Also, adding Blackmore kind of negates the possibility of Torque being good, because in one of the first game's endings, he did nothing wrong and was set up by someone bad. But in this one, the person who set him up was himself because he was blacked out in a rage. I could be wrong, but that's what I've gathered. And that's the video. If you made it this far, thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed it, why don't you drop a like down below, maybe even a comment, or better yet, check out one of these videos I have right here. If you don't watch them, I'll eat sand. And very importantly, I want to give a shout out to my beautiful patrons that are located right here. If you want to join this list of the most handsome gentlemen ever, the link's down below. This has been The Suffering 2 on PS2. Not as good as the first one, but enjoyable in a vacuum. Love you guys. Bye.